Yeah, Sam Amico's with us here on the Bill Riley Show. Amico Hoops is where you'll find him, and Amico Hoops on Twitter is also where you'll find him. Do you agree with the premise that the West has gotten markedly more wide open right now than it has been in a number of years? And I guess we have to wait to see how the next couple of weeks play out, Sam. But how many teams could you guess might have a shot at that top spot or two in the West with free agency still looming now that Golden State's obviously going to take a step back for a year?
Oh, yeah, gosh. I mean, we're talking strictly the West here, and you're talking maybe 5 or 6 teams, I think, would have a realistic shot to get that number 1 seed. In Utah, the Jazz are right on the cusp of that. What if, maybe Oklahoma City will finally get their act together. They're going to try to do some things here and shed some salary with Steven Adams or Dennis Schrader, and what kind of players are Andre Roberson? What kind of players did they get back for? Obviously, Houston trying to make a run at Jimmy Butler. Now, who knows if he would actually fit there? But even if they don't get Jimmy Butler and come back as is, the Rockets remain a real threat. And those are just ones that off the top of my head. Obviously, the Lakers. What's going to happen with LeBron and Anthony Davis? Are they going to find enough help around them? Golden State, I think, will be in the conversation, but certainly not anything like they were before. Okay, Portland went to the Western Conference Finals. How good are they going to be? What moves are they going to make to improve? And if not, can they get the number 1 seed? And, of course, we're forgetting about the Denver Nuggets, who for most of the year had the best record in the Western Conference. So, I mean, those are just some of the teams. You figure that San Antonio is going to make some moves and add some pieces to get a little bit better, even just organically. So there are a lot of possibilities in the conversation, and then you got to really open that up to the rest of the league. I mean, Toronto deserves credit for winning the championship, but they're certainly not considered a dominant force, a dynasty. They'll be in the conversation to win a title, but, what's Boston going to do? What's Boston going to look like? What are the Sixers going to look like? What if Butler and Harris go back? There are all kinds of scenarios that could play out in the Eastern Conference. And, of course, I haven't even mentioned the team that finished with the best regular season record, the Milwaukee Bucks. So, Bill, I'm telling you, for all the fans who say constantly, well, why watch the NBA when you know who's going to win it before the start of the season? I offer them 2019-20 because it is going to be, regardless of what happens in free agency, it's going to be wide open.
Well, Sam, I hate to point out the obvious since you are on with me in Salt Lake City, but the Jazz did add Mike Conley a week ago, and they were a team that was pretty good most of the year last year. They've obviously got some work still to do and decisions to make with Dennis Lindsey, Justin Zanuck, and obviously the Derek Favors option or no option's a big deal. But how much better does Conley make the Utah Jazz?
I think it's could be one of the underrated additions in this NBA offseason because people forget this guy's coming off a career season. Even though he's 31, he's coming off a career year. He is the consummate pro in terms of leadership, work ethic, community relations, which, I know isn't important to fans, but it does if you have the right type of person who is not just that fits into your culture, but is leading the charge of the type of culture you want and can really play, you're coming out a winner. I know he's one of those guys who's always a borderline all-star when healthy. He doesn't get enough credit, never has, but when he stays healthy, he truly is one of the elite and underrated point guards in the league. So adding him to that team was really, I know he's got the contract, the big contract, but aside from that, adding him really was a steal for them because he's the type of underrated piece that the Jazz typically get that can help lift them to new heights. And, they're right there. We've seen them long enough that we know they're right there and that they play well together. Quinn Snyder, who was my roommate at basketball camp years ago, was obviously was a phenomenal player, but has done just a masterful job, I think, with that team in terms of rotation, just motivating them, keeping them motivated, and obviously very strong X's and O's guys. So they've every year, and probably this year more than ever, have that ability to say, you know what, the West is wide open. Let's play the right way and go grab it. So I think that the Jazz fans, more than a long time, have reason to say, hey, this has the opportunity to be something